Hi Internet, in this video I will be recording a long vlog. I did this last month and I felt like I connected with some of my community and that's awesome. So in my last long vlog, I expressed how wax sealing or my relationship with the wax seal hobby has changed in the last couple of years. And basically my journey with the accumulation process and different things I learned about myself through this hobby. In this video, I will be discussing how hobbies in general have filled my life in the last 2 years. So around 2 years ago, I think wax seal making was one of the first creative things I did, or it felt that way at least. It doesn't have a huge learning curve, but I did feel like I learned a lot through wax seal making. And then I started getting into other crafts and things. But before wax seal making, I was very much into stationery, or learning about drawing. Like that's very specific. So like creative things like using charcoal. This year I bought oil pastels. So that's what I'm going to show you here. These are very accessible hobbies. So these were like $5 each from the store, Five Below. So a nice little charcoal set. So I had something like this in 2023. And I also had a sketchbook. So early 2023, I noticed that I absolutely loved creative projects, sketches, and things like that, right? And then in the winter time is when I unboxed my first wax seal making kit. This wasn't even a part of it because that one stopped working like a year ago. But this wax seal warmer tells a story of, of how pretty much wax seal making kind of opened up other things for me. So I think later that year, or maybe early 2024, I got into calligraphy, and these are not the original tools. So I was basically sampling with different types of pens, things like that, very low end, like AliExpress, Shein.com. Shein is mostly known for its clothing and stuff, but I would get my art supplies from there because I think the distributors are very similar to the ones that list on Amazon. So I invested in, or not invested, but I was sampling with different things. And I think wax seal making, or that wax seal kit, it gave me confidence to go outside of my comfort zone and try different things. So I remember when I got my first quill pen, and I think I have that unboxing video on my channel. And then soon after, or maybe shortly after, I don't exactly remember, but I started getting into glass dip pens, and nothing as fancy as this. These were actually, I think everything here was acquired this year, and I'm going to talk about that more in a little bit, but I just want to talk about how wax seal making kind of pretty much introduced new curiosities. So I started looking into more old world like art styles and things like that. And all the while, I'm also getting into YouTube more. So I'm making more YouTube content, and I'm realizing how much fun it is to record and edit. Editing is still one of my favorite things to do in the world. Okay. But I've been doing a lot less of that as the months have gone by this year because my work hours, like I would just be so tired after work, and even on the weekends that I wouldn't want to stare in front of any screen. So the work I do relies on me staring at a screen for many hours. So editing just didn't seem that like practical for me. So I went even deeper into calligraphy. Okay, so this year, because I enjoy glass dip pens, and I did have several others that I unfortunately had to declutter because I felt like they weren't safe. Especially because I have a cat and she likes to watch me do things and stuff. And these can be sharp, and if these shatter or if these fall on the ground, they will shatter and break. And I don't want like some missing piece being stuck under like a radiator or something, and then my cat comes and eats it or something. You know what I mean? So this is this is actually a more higher end version because it can be concealed, right? So like you would never know that this was a glass dip pen, right? So I think I bought this, and then I started getting into fountain pens, and this was my first official fountain pen. Now the Quill fountain pen that I ordered, it was more like a dip pen. It was something like this with just a feather. And I remember like completely going down the rabbit hole when it came to fountain pens, right? And I remember also earlier this year, maybe even last year, I don't remember, but this year, early 2025, I remember going to Michael's and buying India ink, okay, and then dipping my glass dip pens as well as like devices like this or instruments like that into India ink, and then destroying my tools, including my glass dip pens. They were such a pain to clean. And I didn't understand the difference between carbon and non-carbon ink. Once I started learning about inks, I got really into fountain pen ink, or fountain pens in general, and learning about different nibs, learning about piston fillers. So for those who don't know much about fountain pens, there's so many different types. There's different ways to add ink into the barrel here. This is called piston fillers. So you basically dip your nib into a bottle of ink, and you just twist this piece, and it works like a syringe. It's really interesting. And this is the Eco Twisby. This is apparently one of like the easiest ones to use. It's great. Now, when it came in the mail, I remember it feeling like very plasticky. I mean, it's the same feeling I had when when we got the Dyson in the mail, the Dyson vacuum. It just felt like cheap plastic, but it's like that on purpose to make it light. It's just really thin plastic. And to me, that's always registered as cheap. We had just some feedback there for those who are curious. And then I said, well, how are people getting these incredible strokes on paper? Those like really cool thick lines, like that flex thing. So I started getting into nibs, different types of nibs, right? And if you don't know what a nib is, it's this bad boy here. This is called a blue pumpkin nib, and the love of my life, basically. I'll get into that in a little bit. But I started getting into nibs and also learning more about inks. There's, more wet inks, things like that. And this is actually an old ink bottle. I cleaned it out, and now it stores my nibs. Someone out there is probably cringing right now. Like, how are you taking these out? Aren't these getting damaged? How else am I going to store them? And also, I love the Ferris wheel press bottles. This is a nib holder. It's a little fancier, and it just writes a little bit differently, and it holds a lot of different types of nibs as well. And then I got into this bad boy. So this is a Browse. I'm going to try not to cut myself here. There. Okay. So this is a Browse nib holder. Very light. And again, I was researching. I'm like, well, my Eco Twisby doesn't give me those beautiful flex lines that are super thick, and I'm seeing everyone on TikTok and everyone and their grandma's doing it. So I discovered blue pumpkin nibs. So I started doing research on nibs, and I found this one. Adore this to death. I even have a backup. I recently ordered a backup in case the nib bends at the end, or like the pieces start to separate, that would be devastating. But I remember the first time I used this with the Diamine Red Dragon ink. I think it was Red Dragon, I could be wrong, but I absolutely just fell in love with this nib. And this is one of my favorite devices to use. Like, I don't even touch Eco Twisby. And, you know, the dipping process, it's a nice little ritual. Like, it's very slow and it's very relaxing. It's art therapy for me, like basically art therapy. Or it feels like art therapy. It's the same feeling. I was looking for a way to not have to dip every now and then. And I didn't know at the time, but there are some inks that really fill up the nib, and then there are inks that don't. Like, that just don't stick to the nib very well. So I started doing research, and I was looking for an accessible pen, fountain pen, and I discovered FPR. By the way, this video is not sponsored or anything like that. And this has a flex nib, but the nib on this is very, 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 very different. This creates way deeper, darker lines than something like this. I think this is the Himalaya. Pretty reasonably priced. I had a discount code. And this does not have a piston, or actually it is piston filler. That's another reason I bought it, because I wanted it to be easy for me. I'm trying not to make a mess. It's so easy to make a mess with these. Let me see if I can. Oh, there it is. Yep, they get very messy. Okay, yeah, so piston filler, you can also dip this into a bottle of ink. I was very disappointed when this came in. It's really sad that the Eco Twisby barrel is much bigger. So there's a lot of sizing issues I noticed with this type of hobby. Like, if you like certain calligraphy styles or whatever, like, this is not going to work for you. Like this is, it can be a very frustrating hobby. And along with the FPR order that I had, they sent over this free fountain pen, which I'm pretty sure there's already mold growing in. It's kind of gross, but I didn't know at the time, but mold can grow within your ink bottles and things like that if you're dipping, like if I wash this with water and don't dry it and immediately just go in with the ink will start to mold. Really unfortunate. I've seen it happen to other people. It's not happened to me yet, but this is like crazy to me that actually happens. That looks so gross. I should probably throw this out. But one of the reasons I kept this is because it's so interesting. So it uses like you have to use some kind of syringe or something to put ink in here. Just super fascinating. And yeah, I love the ritual of changing out the ink, cleaning out the ink bottle. I actually like to have this upside down. It's very ritualistic, and to me, like, that's comforting. It's meditative to do something like that, right? And then this Manhattan storage thing, I was looking for a safe way to hold some of the more expensive writing tools. And I do not see myself adding to any of these things because so it's not that I have deserted the hobby. I just feel like I'm mainly using the glass dip pen and my pumpkin nib, which I'm obsessed with. These nibs I'm holding on to in case I ever want novelty. That's kind of a long rant, but yeah. And also, there is such a beautiful world when it comes to these ink bottles. I feel like every ink bottle is different. This one kind of blew me away. As you can see, there's a little indent there for your pen if you have a very thin pen. I think that's what that's for. But yeah, I just love it. This is actually rose scented ink. So unique. It's by J. Urban. Or Herbin. I think it's J. Urban. But yeah, it smells like roses. Absolutely delightful. So yeah, I started getting more into that, and I kind of stepped away from wax seal making for a little bit because I really wanted to learn as much as I can about calligraphy and things like that. And then this summer, I started getting back into like colorful arts, and I found these scented colored pencils at Marshalls, and then I found these scented pens at Marshalls. I guess they're just being liquidated right now, but a lot of Lifeline's products are now seen at places like Marshalls. So yeah, and then I ended up getting a new sketch pad where I could make some art. And because I was using my pencil so aggressively, I went in with this. And because the pencils are not that pigmented, I went in with oil pastels to deepen the colors. And I have some of these things documented on my channel. But if you can see a trend here, there's a lot of hobbies. Now, around this time last year, I'm pretty sure it was a few weeks before Halloween or something, I started getting into press-on nails, and I think it started with a company called Alili Nails or something like that. I did an unboxing for them on my channel. They sent me some products and I just loved it. I love the creativity on the nails. I started designing my own nails. I got really deep into nail art, buying very expensive tools, just collecting a mass of press-on nails that I could decorate and things like that. Like, this is just a small piece of the collection, and investing in a bunch of like different like UV lights and things like that. Like, it was a little over the top. And then around that time, I was also getting deeply into holiday decor, or like making things by hand. And then I started to realize that my collections of inks and wax beads and things like that were the collections were getting really large. So I said, why don't I combine these things? Why don't I mix my love of nice paper, good wax, good ink, and my favorite pens to write letters, and then put them in a fancy envelope or a handmade envelope. That's another story. These I actually recently bought because I already used up all my fancy stock paper, or like my, not stock paper, like cardstock. And I started project panning. And I know project pan is usually associated with eyeshadow palettes, hence the pan in project pan, right? Because once you hit pan, that means you're already starting to really officially go through that official eyeshadow palette color, right? But I started using project pan with my hobbies, right? Because these are consumables. Paper is a consumable. The ink is a consumable, wax, right? All of that. So I started combining everything, and my collection of stuff started to decrease. Like, I was feeling really good about it. I was using everything wisely. Almost none of this has been recorded on camera, but through this journey, I learned a lot. And I think not putting it on camera made it more personal. And I also had more time to push through my collections because it was getting overwhelming. I had so much cardstock, probably more paper products than like an elementary school teacher. It was like that. Okay, it was a lot. And being off camera allowed me to accomplish my project pan goals. I ended up reducing my wax beads by like more than half. And then I want to say about a month ago, I started getting into, like sometime September, I started getting into photography very casually because I still love using my camera. I just, like the whole editing process, like editing videos, it's just not something I can do right now. I feel like if I never had to look at a computer screen for anything ever except for editing, that would be fine. I can live happy like that. Like, I can die happy if I could just edit for the rest of my life. But it's not sustainable for me. And, like most most adults in the world, like, we have financial goals and things like that. And, I have to say that working full time has had really good benefits, like on paper and off paper. And, I'm still going to be a content creator because it's something I enjoy. But when it comes to editing and producing this like high quality content that's like super creative and has a lot of colors and animations and things like that, like I don't think I can do that right now at this point in my life. Maybe in the future I might be able to do that, but just not right now. And it used to make me sad, especially when I was project panning my crafting and hobby supplies. But I just genuinely like, I've made peace with it. I've made peace with it. And my photography is done outside. I don't edit the photos. I literally take like photos of nature. Like fall is my favorite season. Fall and spring, I would say, are probably my favorite. And I come home, I put everything the on the computer, I upload everything. And then I look through them and I, remove the ones that came out blurry or whatever. And then I just keep those on my computer. My computer has a lot of space. I like to sift through the photos, on days that are cloudy or maybe I'm sick, not feeling well, and just see what nature looks like outside, captured by me. And maybe having some cool wallpapers for my desktop. You know what I mean? This is something to make my walks more fun, my autumnal walks more fun. And there are other things that I want to start focusing on. Like, as much as I love calligraphy, I love making wax seals, and I love the idea of making my own art, or maybe making like realistic looking drawings and things like that. I want to pay more attention to other like more original hobbies that I had before I started recording YouTube videos, because there is a part of me that's worried or concerned that one of the reasons I picked up so many hobbies and projects is because I wanted to grow my channel and document as much lessons along the way. So like proving to myself that I'm able to learn new tasks, like building my own faux Birkin inspired bag, like I have that recorded on my channel. I wanted to prove to myself that I'm capable of doing so many things. So that way when I'm, older and I can look back and be like, wow, like, yeah, I exposed myself to enough. There's no FOMO going on. Like I did what I was supposed to do. And I know it's a strange way to look at things, but I think one of the reasons I started my YouTube channel was so I can document my life and, the things that I buy online and the experiences that come with those items and what I can learn from those things, or activities, lessons. Like I wanted to like capture growth. You know what I mean? So that way in the future, when I feel like I haven't done enough with my life, I can look back and say, no, I learned how to sew a purse. I learned how to make these like elegant or like extravagant looking Christmas ornaments or whatever. You know what I mean? But before that, my hobbies were actually super duper simple. Working out, and gaming. So for those of you who don't know, I enjoy playing VR, among other types of gaming consoles. So I have a Nintendo Switch. I have several DS Lites. I'm a little bit of a collector. I try not to collect too many consoles and things like that, but I have them in 2 colors. And I'm just going to go ahead and pull them out. So I have a white one and a pink one. This one I really wanted to collect because I love pink. But yeah, these hobbies bring me so much joy. They are simple. They do require a little bit of electricity. They're great for fitness, especially my VR games like Beat Saber. They're not messy, and they're not like risky in the same way that maybe some heating products are. Um, and I don't know if I've mentioned this in videos before, but when I make my wax seals, whether it's for like art therapy or like like just in general, like when I make my wax seals, I typically have to wear a mask and I have to have an air purifier on because the smell really gets to me, and I don't think it's safe to be inhaling those things. And then also, it just requires too many steps. Now, I do want to keep wax seal making in my life, but I don't think I want to do it for hours at a time like I used to. I just feel like there are certain hobbies, like my core hobbies, like gaming and exercise, for example. I feel like I've left some of those behind and I feel so sad about it. I used to really enjoy VR and I used to enjoy a bunch of stuff. A bunch of other stuff. And not just the things I'm mentioning in this video. There are other things that make me happy that I haven't returned to since tapping into my more creative side. And for those of you who are still watching, I implore you, if you are a creative person, ask yourself, is there anything else that you feel like, especially if you're an obsessive person like me, like when you start a project and you can't stop thinking about it until it stops, until it ends. I implore you to ask yourself, are there any areas of your life that you're neglecting? Are you neglecting your health? Have you stopped cooking regular healthy meals? Um, and I want to say the first time, and I don't know if I've talked about this on my channel, it's kind of a personal and strange thing to talk about. I think I haven't heard anyone discuss projects like this before on the tube, but I I really got into crafting and like collecting ribbons and gems and things like that around maybe late September, early October, something like that, last year, because I discovered my love for bedazzling by accident, okay, or rhinestoning, and things like that, right? So I remember going into Five Below, like there's a theme here. I love Five Below. It's so accessible. I went to Five Below and I remember going into the decor section and picking up this very creepy looking, I wouldn't even call it a doll. It's just Halloween decor. And I have a series on my channel. I think it's called From Ghoul to Glam or something like that. Or I don't remember. But it was a really creepy looking doll. It freaked me out. And I said, let me see if I can make her prettier. And I kid you not, it was like I was in a trance for like 4 days or something. It kind of disturbed me a little bit because I would not stop thinking of, like, it wasn't just the doll I was thinking about, it was the project itself. What can I do to, like, what can I add to the thing to make it more special? And I would just keep adding stuff. Paint, I would start looking into different materials. And before that, it was this pumpkin. It was like, I think it was called Gourd to Glam. That particular pumpkin project, I learned how to, I forgot what the texture is called. It's kind of velvety, but it's a powder you put over something to make it feel velvety. Oh, flock. Yes. I wanted to make a flocked pumpkin myself. I bought the tools, I bought the kit from Michael's. I think it was Michael's. And then I started adding hot glue and a bunch of gems to it. And I said to myself, wait a minute, this is extremely satisfying. I feel like a little kid right now. And this is making my heart rate go up. My adrenaline is high. I'm having the time of my life. The world just disappeared. And I think shortly after, that's when the doll came into my life. um, I didn't want to part with that thing. Even after the fourth day, I remember I just wanted it out of the apartment. It I knew I would not stop touching it, adding things to it. I literally destroyed things in my home in order to get pieces from it so I can add it to the doll. It was so creepy, and it was like a sacrifice or something. Like, I had this plant that I've had for like years or something, and I essentially I cut up the top of it. It was a faux plant, so I can add it to the crown or something of the doll. It was really weird. But long story long, I think I decided to just start a bunch of new projects. After that, it was project after project after project. I think this year is like the first year where I don't have any like large projects. Like, I had the pumpkins that took me like an hour or so. I had the brooms, like all these videos you can find that I think they were posted this month. Um, the brooms, the cinnamon brooms or whatever, I made them in like a very short amount of time as well. And I got them out of the apartment as soon as I could. So that way I wouldn't keep adding things to them. But they were very quick projects. They were a little bit impromptu. They weren't like fully fleshed out or planned out. Like, they were very random. Like, I just woke up and said, hey, I should probably make those things really pretty and give them away. So this year was not the year for projects. It was the year for working overtime. And I really enjoyed having my slower hobbies like my calligraphy and stuff, but I was neglecting my physical fitness, and I could feel the change in my body. I wasn't gaming as much, which is something I see this as a social hobby as well, because you could talk to people in games and things like that. And it's fun connecting with people across the world, and also just traveling across the world. This is the Quest 2. I think I do have a Quest 3 review on my channel. But yeah, as you know, I love to collect these things. And I really, really want to revisit old hobbies, or as I call them, core hobbies, hobbies that actually improve the quality of my life, to get me out of the home, and not just at my desk, with my back leaned over my desk and just drawing or doing nails, making cool nail designs. Like, all those things are fantastic. But I think for my schedule, or my dream schedule, I want to nourish not only my mind and my heart, but my physical body, because I have to live in it. So I really hope that this hobby comes back, as it is, again, my core hobby. I've had this since I was relatively, young, high school age. I remember working out like every day, and it brings me so much confidence. And I think the confidence that I got from hobbies like filming kind of replaced the confidence that I get from being able to do things, right? I feel like my muscle mass has has been lower since I started my YouTube channel. Like, I don't exercise as much as I used to, and I also don't feel like I'm getting as much nutrition. And I remember distinctly every project that I've had, and that includes editing as well, because editing is very, very exciting to me, and I genuinely love it, which is why I can't do it, because I will stay at my desk for 10 hours and time will fly by. It will enter a new dimension. I have this thing where I literally cannot and will not get up from my desk until the task is complete. And what happens with that is I ignore my biological needs. I don't drink enough. I don't eat enough. That's also problematic. So it's not just I want to be more fit, but I actually want to eat more nutritious foods as well. And one of the ways I would bypass that, I call it hobby hunger, like when you're so entrenched in what you're doing that you ignore your literal like biological needs, you starve. One of the ways I would bypass that, or I would like cheat, is by drinking energy drinks. And I still drink them now very sparingly, but I want natural energy. I want to feel good about my body. We're all aging, we're all getting older in different ways, and I want to be on the right side of things. I just, I'm genuinely concerned about my fitness. And fitness is important to me because it allows me to do things, and because my muscle mass has dropped, it has affected my confidence in some negative ways as well, because there are certain things I would be able to carry with no issues. Like, I used to work out a lot, okay? So I would be pretty strong, in my opinion, and I would be able to do things that probably a lot of women my age can't do. And then I just started getting really deep into hobbies and feeding my inner child, but ignoring my adult body. And I like now, like I don't even feel comfortable carrying groceries by myself because I'm worried that I'll pull a muscle that I don't have now. I'm kidding. I'll pull a muscle and injure myself, and then I can't really do anything. So hobbies are good. Hobbies are so important. But I think I'm ready to pare down. I'm going to keep wax seal making like I mentioned before, but I think it's only going to be in conjunction with writing letters. Because that's how it should be. Like, that's what wax seal making was for. But no, it's because I really just want a lot of these hobbies that I've gotten better at and I've accrued over the years, over the last 2 years especially. I feel like I've learned so much, and I want to see the items as tools now, if that makes sense. Like, a pen is a tool. It's a writing utensil, right? So it's okay to use it in a non-hobby way. That's fine. If I want to use my fountain pen to take notes at the library, probably not my fountain pens because I wouldn't want to destroy the books at the library, but I think it's okay to use items as tools and not see them as like a hobby thing that I have to do every day or every week or every month or every 2 months or every season. Like, I want it to be just a tool. Like, hey, I could really use my camera to record the fireworks, on July 4th next year and get some really cool shots. And then add that to my memory bank and view that whenever I feel like I miss fireworks. If I want to write a letter to a friend, I have great quality paper that I can use and pens and things like that. Now, with gaming and exercise, these are things that I really want to return to. I don't see them as tools. I see them as actual activities. They don't take up a lot of space. They don't create a mess, and they actually greatly improve the quality of my life. So pretty much everything that I've gotten from my other hobbies, just in a more like compact way. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to start maybe combining certain hobbies and then using those physical tools into just regular tools, like not hobby tools. Like, I have several hot fix items, and I don't think I'll be using those ever again, but I'm going to keep them as tools. My hot glue gun, I use it occasionally. Crafting, if it happens, if I wake up one day and say, hey, I kind of want to make this thing, I will make it, but I'm not going to cover my desk. My beautiful white standing desk, with a bunch of crafting stuff every day and just like make it my life. Like, I can't do it. It's not sustainable for me. My health is suffering. I'm being super, super candid right now. I genuinely want to reframe things, and you might see some different content on my channel as the months go by. You might, maybe see some reviews on products like gaming products or fitness products and things like that, as time goes on, because these are things I still want to make YouTube videos. It's really fun to document and to connect with other people. So I'm definitely still going to be active on this channel. Now, I know a lot of people subscribed because of my wax seal making content. I've actually been losing subscribers because I don't make this kind of content as regularly anymore. And I don't think I need to apologize. Like, but at the same time, you know, if you're not interested in the content that I would like to make for my channel going forward, if you're just here to see these things, you might still see videos about wax seal making. It's not going to leave my life. But you're going to see other topics as well, like fitness, gaming, or just like long vlogs like this in the coming months. And I don't think I'm going to return to being a full-time hobbyist for a long time because I have certain financial goals and it's really hard for me to do both because I'm only human. And this year I really tried to pull myself in every direction and it was not good. It was not good. It made me sad and it burnt me out. So I hope you stick around. I hope you stick around, and I hope the content I make connects with somebody out there. If you have feedback, please feel free to comment below. Are you a hobbyist? Are you a serial hobbyist who has so many hobbies that they tend to ignore more vital parts of their life, like their physical health, like me? You know, because this is truly one of the most addicting things I've ever done. Like crafting is significantly more addictive than video games. Like there's this notion out there that video games are bad, they're a waste of time and all these things. But what about hobbies? Like what is the difference between me making wax seals for hours and something like this? Like, and I'm not saying that wax seal making is bad. It's not. Neither are video games, especially if they're helping you with your critical thinking skills. As a kid, I feel like some games kids, you know, should be okay with playing. But anyway, this content is not for parents, but or, you know, for child caretakers and, you know. But in general, I think video games are awesome. And, you know, as a grown adult, I fully support them. I've been playing games since I was very young, and they have increased my confidence in myself. They have made me think more critically about things. They're just really, really good. It's like a puzzle, right? It depends on the game you're playing. Like if it's a violent game, probably don't recommend. I don't really play violent games. They don't feel good when I play them. I don't want to, you know, like the most, I want to say like graphic game I've ever played is probably League of Legends or like Mortal Kombat. Like, like, you know, these like fictional, you know, but anyway, this is going too far. I'm curious if there's anyone out there, who genuinely has had to kind of step away, or in order for them to like heal their inner child, you know, let their inner child come out and play and stuff like that. Has your inner child ever prevented you, and this is for adults here, has your inner child ever prevented you from being the best adult you can possibly be, or like nurture your adult side? I mentioned this in my other video, like I accumulated so much wax seal making supplies in the last 2 years because I was constantly trying to reignite the fire within the hobby and also make the hobby more fun, and also making content and connecting with people. And what happened was I started to do that with other hobbies as well, like ribbons and like so many ribbons. Oh my goodness. Textiles and tools that I'm probably not going to use again for a long time. All those things would take up so much space. And now I guess this is for the parents. I'm sure there are people out there who let their children, or there are parents out there who let their children clutter up their living rooms with toys, right? Like toy cars and things like that. That sounds like a normal home. Nothing wrong with that. And there was a point this year where I looked around my space, my desk area, And there were hobby supplies everywhere. So many hobbies, right? And I thought to myself, oh my God, this is like having like it's like that notion like, oh my God, my inner child cluttered up my living room. It's like that. You know what I mean? So I was cluttering up my space, or my inner child was, because I do think we all have that inner child inside all of us. Mine likes to shine through more often than I would like. Um, she likes to be messy, and she likes having a lot of stuff around her. I hope I don't sound crazy to people. For those of you who understand psychology and the whole inner child thing, you'll understand what I'm saying here. Who are in tune with their inner child, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm speaking from the heart here. I'm being vulnerable talking about this. I don't talk about this normally with people because I don't want to be laughed at, you know? And I genuinely believe my inner child was cluttering up my space. So I wonder if there's adults out there who have, you know, I guess their inner child shines through or comes out often and does something like something that might seem immature, or like maybe cluttering up their space with so many hobbies. Because I feel like people tap into their inner child with hobbies. Like I know it's usually men that play video games, from my understanding, and it's what keeps their inner child alive, which I think is amazing. A lot of women like makeup, and I think, you know, a lot of little girls like makeup, right? And it's exciting for them. And I think that's a way that, you know, especially when eyeshadow palettes were so like varied and colorful, and like the 2016 era, and like there were these really cool makeup looks. I think a lot of women were tapping into their inner child by buying these palettes, or maybe even making their own palettes, and just making these really cool creative looks, right? It's all the same. It's all the same. So I think even if you don't realize it, when you do have hobbies like this that are like some people might consider a waste of time, it's just connecting with our inner child. It's finding joy in a world that that might be lacking some of that joy. You know what I mean? You know, we want to feel safe, and hobbies made me feel safe. And I would love to know your feedback on the topics I've discussed today, like inner child, having multiple hobbies, neglecting biological needs. And yeah, just like the idea of collecting hobbies, you know, what kind of hobbies have you collected over the years? Like, I really, really want to know if there's other people who have experienced what I've experienced in the last couple of years. Like, my journey really started in the middle of 2023, right? That's when I started drawing, and then it got into wax seal making, and then it just never stopped. But yeah, I'm on the journey to doing better, and I'm excited to continue documenting. So yeah, feel free to leave a comment. I will reply, and you know, hopefully other people, you know, can join the conversation about how hobbies are our way of tapping into our inner child and things like that. So thank you so much for watching. I hope everyone enjoyed their month of October. I hope everyone is staying safe, and it is getting chilly. Make sure you drink your vitamin C. I definitely will be, as long as I remember to. And take care. See you next month. Bye.